Good morning, everybody. I'm just gonna preempt this by saying it's super windy here. Apparently all the wind that was in the Midwest with all you gals in Ohio and Wisconsin is now here, and it's making our internet a little squirrely. So I'm gonna try my best to make sure that I stay on. But sometimes, you know, I don't know, the wind is crazy today. Anyway, how's everyone doing? Good morning, everyone. Hi, Brina and Darcy and Janet and Misty and Lisa and Glenda. Hi, Donna, Diana, Denise. How are you guys? Thank you all for the shares. I appreciate that. Good morning, Susan and Fran and Mary and Christina. Iowa was windy yesterday. I heard. Hi, Stacy from New York. Thank you guys for all the shares. I appreciate that. I'm going to start off with what we're going to do is we're going to do a card that I kind of saw an idea from, like with a combination of the occasions catalog and celebration sort of catalog, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. But I wanted to also show you a couple cards that I made in the meantime, because you know, guys know I've been doing all those one sheet wonder cards, and I've been trying to duplicate them because I couldn't remember how exactly I cut the paper, which I promise I am working on a tutorial. I just keep forgetting because I'm getting distracted by things. But I made a couple cards and I wanted to show you a few things of how to fix a few things. So this card, I thought I would make it really simple card. This is using the butterfly DSP, and what I did was I colored in the butterfly with the Stampin' Up markers. I just picked a couple different ones, and then I went over it with Wink of Stella, and I put Wink of Stella on all the rest of the butterflies too, but you notice you can't see it quite as much on the white ones, but I kind of thought it made that one pop. And then I used, like, this is my new favorite ribbon, which isn't even new. That's the crazy part. Where did I put it? It's underneath, I bet. Lord, oh, here it is. This ribbon, I think, is from the Christmas catalog, but it did carry over. It's the braided linen trim, and you can pull it apart, so it gets like this frayed look to it, which is what I just did. I kind of just pulled it apart. I think this ribbon is so neat because it has a lot of impact with not a lot. And then the Sending Prayers is actually from the Itty Bitty Greetings, and I thought it was nice, just like a little sentiment, something small. Very simple card, because basically all I did, so this is like really simple stamping. This really isn't even a lot of stamping, honestly. I cut out a piece of the DSP. I just colored it in with some Stampin' Up markers, put a little bit of Wink of Stella, stamped this little thing. This is an easy card. You can make a ton of these really quickly if you needed cards to send out for birthdays or maybe give out a card pack or something like that. And then this is another one. That's one I wanted to show you how to fix if you made a goof. So if you guys notice, this on here doesn't exactly match. I put the line, I put it to hang off on purpose with these two layers, but I didn't line them up correctly. So what I did was I just took a piece of the gold, oh goodness, I just had a scrap here a second ago. Here it is, the gold edged ribbon. And what I did was I used, since I did Lovely Lipstick, I used the Lovely Lipstick blends to color it in so it would kind of coordinate. And then I just laid it behind and added the sentiment to kind of even things out, because it is a slight bit, if you really look at it, it is a little bit crooked. But that was kind of my way of saying, I'm not going to throw this card away. I'm going to do something else with it. And then another one that I did that I thought was kind of lame, I originally had just this thing here, and I just added some pearls to it. So I put two of the same size and one bigger. Again, really simple card. You just layer a piece of DSP. So this is a card base with a 4 1/4 or 4 by 5 1/4 piece of DSP. Just stamped a quick sentiment in there. I picked one of the colors that coordinated with it. Really easy card. And then another one, which is great. That's why I really want to, I'm going to take time today once I pick up the rainbow stamper from school. And I'm going to try to map out this one sheet wonder that I did, because I did make 13 cards out of it, which is a lot of cards. So this one is just a tiny bit crooked, but what I did was I just stamped the flower on the sentiment to kind of bring it so it would like off-center it a little bit. And then I had one where originally I folded this fold for a different card, but I thought this would be really cute to layer, and now I know why I had that other piece out here, that white piece that I probably threw in a pile somewhere. Now I don't know where it is. But anyway, so what I did was I thought it would be cute to bring in some of the green, and then you could layer it behind. So when it's closed, it looks like another layer. But the way it kind of centers, which I had a Whisper White layer and I threw it away or put it somewhere anyway. So I cut a Whisper White layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer a Whisper White layer inside so you can write something on it. And then this will kind of conceal it because it's almost going to be the same size as this little flap here. So again, really simple. A piece of DSP, a very small greeting. You could certainly, you know, zhuzh this up a little bit if you wanted to. But really simple. And then we're just going to put a white panel here to put like stamp a sentiment or write something on. But the cool part is it's got a really fancy fold. But really, this is a very easy card to make. So, and this one does, except for this green piece. It does stand up on its own. So that's another bonus in itself. So I just wanted to share those with you because I've been trying to think of ideas for new stampers for people who aren't avid at, you know, making cards or whatever. So I just thought those are some easy ones to share. And then the other thing, the Snarky Stamper. Yes, that is right. The snarkystamper.com should be his name. He's been better though the past couple days. Don't ask me why. But the other thing I wanted to show you is if you guys missed this ribbon, this is Petal Pink and Whisper White. It's called a variegated ribbon. This is like so, it's like tissue paper almost. It's so thin. But I think, and this was the first time, this is the most gorgeous bow I have ever made with a ribbon. So if you haven't gotten your hands on this yet, you have to get some of this stuff. It's so soft. This actually is in the Occasions catalog. And I'm pretty sure it's in the beginning here. I feel like it was in with one of these Valentine. Oh, here it is. So it's in with this True Romance collection, which you can see, even here, you can see on this how beautiful this is. But this ribbon, I mean, it makes, you know, bows aren't so easy, especially when you're trying to make one quickly. So lovely. So if you haven't tried this ribbon, you can see how flimsy it is. It's gorgeous. So get your hands on a little bit of that ribbon. That was just my wow, I found this and I was like, I have to tell people about this. And then the other thing I wanted to share, this snarky part disappeared. Right. Well, sometimes, sometimes that works, Karen. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. So, and none of my ideas are lame. You are very, very kind. No, my birthday is Friday. So thank you for whoever remembered Karen. Yeah, my birthday is on Friday. So, I might see if I can pop on if I don't end up doing something else fun during the day and we can do like a card for my birthday. We can all make a birthday card together. Okay, so let's see what else. Great fold cards, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do, I want to show you this one other thing before we start, because I do have watercolor paper here, because I figured while we were making it, we might as well make two. And then I have a piece of thick Whisper White, because we're going to do something with the blends. So I'm going to set that up here. I have my watercolor, my aqua painters ready. I think some of them have more water than other. But the other thing I wanted to show you that I did, I cut out 1 4-inch strip from this DSP. And you can see, so I cut all of these out with the dies. That way I have a lot of stuff that I could use as a background to either make a shaker card with. I could layer this behind it. But the other thing I wanted to show you was, the other day, this is the free DSP. Okay, so this is the foil DSP that you get if you get earn a celebration reward. So I have... I'm pretty sure this was kind of surprising to me too. It was 3 sheets each that comes. You get 3 sheets of each. I thought that was pretty shocking because usually when you get the foil, when you buy it, you only get 2. But it's Grapefruit Grove and Lovely Lipstick. And the Lovely Lipstick is pretty, but it's super pink. But let me tell you, this is flippin' amazing. That is the nicest word I can use on air without getting in trouble. It's so cool. It's like holographic rainbow, like rainbows and unicorns and sparkly. Oh, I love it. So what I did was I cut out some of those candies. Isn't that cool? I mean, these would be so awesome. So I cut some of these out. There are dies in here that embellish and they cut. So you do need that embossing mat to make it work the best. But look how cool they are. And then the other thing I wanted to show you too. So I have all these little doodads, and I even cut out a couple of, I cut these out of the lipstick, the lollipops. But aren't they super cool? I mean, how fun are these? So, and this was just with like one little strip. I just cut off a piece of the edge. So this is like an inch strip that I cut these out of. And then I did a little bit of die cutting. These are with the stitched rectangles. I just stamped some stuff for my One Sheet Wonder cards because I'm getting ready to send out my December thank yous for everything. And then I'll send out January. So I was trying to get ahead of the game. This is another, this is a die that's actually in with, I'm pretty sure it's in with the candy set. Could be wrong, but I think it's in with the candy set. And you could use it either way, but I kind of used it this way because my Hope Your Day is Amazing part fit in the square better. And then I did another one with a stitch circle. And then the other thing I have to share with you, which I'm going to put these together. This is another die set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer 3 of these together. I just cut 3 of them out. I didn't poke out the holes in all of them yet. But I'm going to layer them together. And then I think I'm going to put a layer of clear embossing over them so they're shiny on top of this. And then it also has a present set in there too. So these do not cut on the bottom. So you do have to keep that in mind. So they do cut only on the cutting part. They don't cut all the way to the bottom. So if you lay them either on, like these I did crosswise so they fit almost exactly on the paper. But you can always, if you wanted to, you could cut yourself like a little slope. That way if you wanted to fit your card onto something, or you could layer the presents, or you could certainly trim them off right where the present is. But this is kind of neat because then if you put this on the bottom, you could lay this on the bottom of your card like that. Obviously not on the same color paper, but it would look pretty cool. And these did pop out pretty quickly. What I did was I just ran them through twice. I didn't use the precision base plate. I just used a regular plate. But those, I'll show you those real quick since I don't have that handy. Should have kept that out, but I saw all this stuff on my desk and I thought I would just share it with you guys. Here they are. So these are those right there. So this is also a bundle with this birthday stamp set and then these dies here. So it does have a little cupcake, so you could cut the cupcake out and it has a tag. But this is a really cute set. So if you buy that together, you save 10%. So those are really fun. So I'm going to try to put these cards together, fairly certain. And then the other one I got, this is actually in a stamp set. This is another bundle. And I got out the words for these. This is called Well Said. It has 2 stamp sets, so it's got a lot of very versatile words in it. And this is a cling mount, so it's going to be really sticky, so you won't be messing up your stuff when you set it together. But this also has a coordinating set of dies. And almost there. Look at this one here. Yep. So almost have my catalog memorized. So it has all these dies that you get. So they have the dies cut out here so you can see how many, but they also have them all cut. So these little flower or stems are from that die set. So I thought this would be neat too to put these together. So I cut 3 of them and I'm going to layer them together so you have like a thicker die. I think that looks pretty neat when you do that. And the same thing with this, so you can bundle the stamp set and the dies together and save 10%. So that's pretty neat. Lots of fun stuff. But what we're going to do today is we're going to use the Humming Along stamp set. Get all this out of the way. I actually had to go to my son's school today because I was supposed to do, I'm the room mom, so, which I love, but I'm supposed to do some sort of a project, which I didn't think I had to do since they were only in preschool, but apparently I did. So I'm cranking that out with my craftiness at the last minute. So I went to school today, and it's amazing. They only had to write a little 4-letter word on a heart, and it took a half hour. Granted, there's 17 kids in the class, but I was like, oh, I'll be out of there in no time. But it took a lot longer than I expected. I was hoping I wasn't going to be running late today, because nothing worse than that. But okay, so we're going to use the Humming Along. We're going to do one with the hummingbird and one with the flower. So I'm going to go ahead to get started and just stamp these 2 because I want to make sure that they're nice and dry before we use the Stampin' Blends on them. So I just have a piece of thick Whisper White. There also is a coordinating die for this. I just didn't get it because I got this stamp set at convention, or should I say my buddy Linda Cullen picked this up for me at convention, my basket of goodies. So thanks again, Linda. But what I'm going to do is I actually am going to order the dies because there's a really cool background piece that you can get. So let's see. I'm going to pull those off. And stamps are a pretty good size, so I'm going to use a big block on them. So I'm going to pick this one up first. And I'm using my Memento ink. So remember, anytime you use the Stampin' Blends, you need to use Memento ink because it works with alcohol markers. Anytime you're going to watercolor, which we're not watercoloring on this, you want to make sure you use StazOn because this ink will bleed with watercolors. So I just have that inked up. And I'm going to kind of try to stick him somewhere near the bottom because he's just going to get trimmed out. Okay, so we have him. And I was even at my last party, I had to whip out a new chamois because this one's getting so grossly dark. But you see, still, even with it being dark, this side's super dark. It still cleans really, really well. There's not anything left on there at all. So you want to make sure, again, just in case you miss this with the cling stamps, you want to grab the whole thing when you pull so you don't pull away from it. And whoopsie. And then I'm going to do the flower. So same thing. Just kind of lay that on there, but it sticks really, really well, which is awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to just stamp the flower. Pretty awesome. So let me just wipe this off. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let these dry for a minute and we're going to just get our watercolor paper. So I was going to kind of just do something soft just for the background. So I think for one I'm going to do like a soft pink background, and then for the other one I'm going to do maybe a soft blue or a green. Either one I think would be equally nice. But what I'm going to do ahead of time with this just to make it a little softer is I'm going to go ahead. Let me find one that has a lot of water in it. I'm going to go ahead. Oh my gosh, look at that. They're almost all empty. I'm just going to wet this paper a little bit. So I'm going to give my aqua painter a squeeze and just kind of wet it. You could do this with a big flat brush too if you have it. And what this is going to do is kind of gets the paper wet and ready to absorb whatever ink I'm going to put on it. So what I'll do is I'm going to do mint for one, and then I'll do powder pink for the other one. Okay, so I'm going to just give this a squeeze so I have a little puddle of ink. Same thing with this one. You just squeeze in the center, pop it open. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead back and grab my aqua painter. Now, it doesn't really need to be super wet, so I'm going to use the one that has some water in it to just, oops, add a little bit of water. And then the brush just needs to be damp. It doesn't have to be soaking wet. So I keep the chamois, actually, you can fit 2 of these. This is in one of the slim cases. You can order these still on the website. They're not really in the book anymore, I don't think. But I can make sure when I finish the blog post of this later, I'll make sure that I include the stamp case. But I had one in there, but then I put the other one in. And what it does is it kind of keeps them a little bit damp. And then all you have to do is just re-wet them before you start. So this is just a regular stamp case. All right, so I'm going to do the pink first. Just get my brush nice and wet, and don't want it really super dark, just kind of the hint of color on here. And what we're going to do is once this is dry, I'm going to kind of flick a little bit of color on here with my marker. So what I'm going to do, you can do this one of 2 ways. So you saw me squeeze. If you do want it a little darker, you can always just add a drop of your ink refill here. And I'll just add like a couple spots that are darker. I'm really on a watercoloring kick lately, aren't I? Okay, so I'm just going to close this up. That little bit of water in your case, it's not going to hurt anything. And then I just slide this back into my container. You do want to make sure that you clean your brush off in between, especially if you're going from something light to dark, because you wouldn't want to have green and then go to your pink and you have green in your pink container. So I'm going to set this one on the side. And a little bit of mint here. Oh, this is going to look really nice with the mint. We'll do a little bit darker spots. And then just kind of keep washing. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's the cool part about watercolor. And then I want to add just a little bit more intensity in like a couple of areas. So I'm just kind of dabbing. course, I hear my phone ringing, the house phone ringing. Never fails. Okay, so there's that. Can't come to the phone now. I'm stamping. So I just cleaned my brush off again. I'm just going to close this up. All right, and let me put this ink refill back. Now, you can hit these with your heat tool to dry it if you'd like, but I'm going to just let these set on the side now since we're going to color these in anyway. Okay, so we're going to just let those set. Okay, keep the case open if you're not. That is true. You know what? I've never had them get stinky. Mine, unless I really, my sniffer's not working. And this one I kind of leave in here all the time. So I've not had them get stinky, but they do get hard if they dry out, and there's not anything wrong with that. You just put them under water and they rinse out again. So no problem. And I don't use, you're talking about for the coloring or for the aqua painters, I just use tap water. I haven't used distilled water, but that probably would be a good idea if you don't empty them. You definitely want to empty these because these do get stinky. Okay, so I'm going to color these guys in. And what I want to do is, I think I'm going to color the flower in coral. Let me see. I have Stampin' Blends here. Let's see, what do we have? This, I believe, is Cajun Craze. That would be something. That would be super dark. What do you have here? We also have Pumpkin Pie, Calypso Coral. I'm going to use both of those, Calypso Coral. But I'm going to tell you, Light Pumpkin Pie is also a really nice blend to bring in with these three. So we'll do these for the flower. I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm going to use a dark Daffodil Delight for the center. And then for the stem, I'm going to use a combination of light Mossy Meadow and light Old Olive. Okay, so that's going to be for that. And then the hummingbird, you know, hummingbirds are very specific in their color scheme. There's a couple different kinds of them. There's the ruby throated, who he's got more of a ruby throat. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this part yet, so I'm up for suggestions if you guys have any suggestions. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to start with the stem, and I'm going to color in, let me move these over just a little. I'm going to color in the stem, and I'm going to do, again, I will note all these colors when I put it on the blog. I'm going to color both of these in, and I know maybe this isn't actually real color of a flower in nature, but that's the cool part about stamping. You can make things whatever you want. And since we are going to trim this out a little bit, if it goes outside the lines, it's going to be okay. So I'm going to kind of just fill in a little bit of color. You want to keep your caps close, okay? You don't want to keep these uncapped for very long because they will dry out very quickly. I'm just bringing in just a little bit of dark in a couple spots. And then I'm going to go back in with my light color again. So this is light Old Olive. And I'm just going to blend it a little bit. Blend out that light color with the dark color. I'm not by any means an expert on using alcohol markers, so I'm just doing this as I go. That's about the best I could tell you. I'm going to color in the stamen, I believe this is. And I'm going to add just a little bit of light pumpkin pie on this for a little orangey. But I really like the light pumpkin pie, really gives a good effect with the coral if you've never tried them together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of this just down here on the stem. I'm kind of going to the edge in the center. So that was light pumpkin pie. And then I'm going to come in with the light Calypso Coral and blend out. Thank you, Donna. Donna is like my little assistant. So I'm going to bring the light Calypso Coral out. Just like that. And then I'm going to get, is this dark? Yeah, that is dark Calypso Coral. I'm going to do the dark, but I'm going to do the tip end. So I don't want it to be too dark. And I'm just going to kind of go around the edge here. And this one, I'm going to do one petal at a time because I want to be able to blend this. And sometimes when they dry, they don't blend as well as you think they're going to. And then we can go back in again with the tip of this. I'm going to add just a little dark. They kind of have that dark veininess on them. Okay. The other thing you can do too is you can also do it this way, which is basically kind of starting light with everything and then bringing in your dark And then bring your light back in to blend. So it kind of just depends. So you can see the effect of that depending on what you do. I kind of think I like doing the light to dark better. I think it gives it a more real look. So that's what I tend to do. Also, I tend to find too with, you do have the color lifter, so that does work to our advantage, but I think sometimes it's easier to make something darker. And when you do the lightness of it, it doesn't really quite make it look as realistic. So kind of blend the edges, and then same thing, bring the middle, and you still kind of leave that light spot in the edge there. So if you can see, a teeny bit I missed here. So same thing, again, I'm just going to color the whole thing almost to the edge, and I'm going to bring in my dark. I wish there was like more hours in the day that you guys were free to watch and I didn't have stuff to do, and we all lived closer together, and there was like this really big warehouse where we could just go and spread all of our stamp stuff out, and we could bring our favorite beverages, and you didn't have to wear your bra because nobody really cared if you have your bra on or not. And you could eat all the chocolate you want and your pants still fit when you buttoned them. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think it would be awesome. All right, so there we go. Oop, I forgot this part down here. I'm going to make this just a little bit lighter. Make him a little lighter. I'm going to bring in just a little bit of this pumpkin pie too. All right, so there is that. So again, we used, light and dark Calypso Coral, pumpkin pie. We used a little bit of dark Daffodil Delight, and then we used light Old Olive and light Mossy Meadow for that flower. So that's pretty good. So we got the flower taken care of. The other thing you could do if you wanted to, I don't want to put those away so I don't miss them. The other thing you could do if you wanted to, even though we're going to trim this out, is you can go along with your light smoky slate marker just around the edge and kind of make a little shadow. This will be even more impressive if you were going to just leave it where it was, because then it makes it look like it's sticking out. But you could do this too after the fact. Once you trim it out, go around it with your marker, and I'll do that when I'm done because it gives a depth to it, which is kind of hard to explain. Sounds like a fantasy land, I know. Isn't that amazing? Too old for pants with buttons. You know what? I have elastic on too, so don't let me fool you. All right, while I have this out, I'm going to go ahead and do the beak in. This is dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to just bring just a little bit of the light pumpkin pie. Okay, so we have that. So let's see, I'm pretty sure, what color is this one? Poppy Parade. So I'm going to go with light Poppy Parade and light, ooh, real red. Now I want a Cherry Cobbler. Light Cherry Cobbler. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to attempt, I can't really remember what it looks like, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to attempt to make this one. We'll see if we can get it to look slightly ruby throated. Okay, so that was the light Poppy Parade. And that is the light Cherry Cobbler. I'm just going to go back and blend that out just a little bit. And then I know these have a lot of green, but they also kind of have like that iridescent blue. So this might be the craziest hummingbird I've ever seen. Probably would have been smart for me to have a picture of a hummingbird, and I could have seen what it looked like. A little bit of dark. So this is what I'm using, Balmy Blue here. Kind of bring a little dark at the edge there. All right, and I know the head is a little bit more green, but I'm going to go out with the Balmy Blue, a little bit to the edge here. And down the bottom. And again, I'm going to cut this out. So if I go out of the lines a little bit on this, it's okay. I don't want to go too far. So I'm going to bring in now the light Balmy Blue. Kind of just bring the ink back in. Fill in the rest of the space. They have like that iridescent, pearly green head. I don't know if you've ever been fortunate enough to see one up that close, but we do have one that comes, one or two actually. We end up having 3 of them fighting this year at our feeder. And I know sometimes they'll say if you add another feeder, but some of them I think are just so territorial, no matter how many feeders you add, they're crazy. I'm going to put a little blue up here just just a little dash. And then a little bit more, since this is the darker side, I'm gonna fill this in with lighter Balmy Blue, which the Balmy Blue and the Mossy Meadow are actually in the Occasions catalog. I'll bring this over just a little bit. Just like a little color variation. You do that for quilting. That sounds like fun. Quilting and scrapbooking weekend. I'm not a quilter or a scrapbooker, but I have a lot of quilts. And I have the aspiration to make a scrapbook, but never come to fruition thus far. All right, I'm going to go with the same color. So I have a little bit of light old olive. Hopefully I'm not going to ruin this little bird here. That we work so hard. And just kind of leave it a little variegated there. So there's like some gaps. Just like that. I'm sorry, I'm not talking. I'm concentrating. You can tell when I'm concentrating if I stop yapping. And I'm just coming back in again, just with a little bit more of that. And some Wink Estelle, that is a super idea. You're right about that. I'm going to bring just a little bit of dark. Just kind of put like a little dark over here. And I'm going to blend. That was dark Mossy Meadow. I'm going to blend this out a little bit. Okay. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what we're going with. So there's our bird. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to take my, you know what? I'm going to do my special pen. So I have this Pilot. It's an envelope addressing pen because it will not run. And I'm going to just fill in his eye just to make it a little bit darker with this. It's a super fine tip pen, you see. So I use this when I send out my my emails, or not my emails. Geez, whiz, Rachel, come on. I use it when I send out my thank you letters because I usually decorate the front of the card, and that way it kind of gives me something to do. All right, so I'm going to do that. Let me get, gosh, none of my Wink of Stellas are open. I must have run out. All right, so I have a brand new Wink of Stella. So just in case you've never got one before, blue was a little grayer. Oh, I wish I would have known that because I have smoky slate I could have added in. So, okay, while we're here I have my light smoky slate. I'll just go over it a little bit. Very lightly with the smoky slate. Kind of on the lighter parts. There you go. That's adding a little bit of gray to it. So you probably can't see it on there, but it definitely, you can tell the difference when you're looking at it. So if you have a Wink of Stella pen, this is how it comes in the package. What you have to do is you have to, whoops, unscrew it. Oh Lord, that thing just came off. So if you didn't see, there's a little black ring here. So you have to unscrew it. You take that black ring off. That's just trash. And then you screw it back together. The most important thing is make sure you shake it really, 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 really good. That is a Pilot envelope addressing pen. I've only found these so far on a certain website, and I'll put it on my blog when I link in. So you shake it up really good, and then you want to make sure you have kind of a little piece of scrap something or other. I'm just going to use this paper towel. And you kind of squeeze until you see the ink coming down. Come on. Did I not squeeze it hard enough? Oh goodness, maybe I have a dud. Well, that's crazy. Well, just goes to show you, see? You never know. Even if you're Rachthestamper, sometimes your Wink of Stella pen won't work for you. All right, let me try a different one. Bowl wasn't shaking in this one at all. That was really making me nervous. There's definitely something in there, so I don't know if it's just clogged or what. But I'm going to squeeze it. There we go. So you can see when you squeeze it versus this one. This one's still clear. This one you can see kind of like the glitter coming through. So what you want to do is you want to squeeze it until it starts flowing into your, whoops, into your pen there. So you'll see it'll come out sometimes in a little bit of a glob. And then you're just going, I don't usually squeeze it while I use it. I kind of just squeeze it to start. And then I just let it do its own thing. Put a little bit back here. Okay, and then same thing. I'm going to put a little bit on the edge. Kind of more like a dew. Might be. Alright, and then when you cap these, when you're done with these, you want to make sure you keep them sitting up. Because apparently when you keep them sitting up, which I just made myself these little paper bins. When you keep them sitting up, it keeps them lasting longer. This one I have to work on and see. If not, I'm gonna have to call somebody. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give these just a second to dry with that Wink of Stella. In the meantime, I'm gonna take this, and I'm fairly certain I cut these down small enough, but let me make sure. These are 4 by 5 1/4. Yep. So before I 100% finish, I just want to hit these with the heat tool just to make sure they're really dry. Yeah, I took the black ring out. I don't know if I got a dud on that one or what. Alright, so what I'm going to do with these, just to add a little bit more something to it, I'm going to do on the gray, I'm going to do basic gray, or I should say on the green, I'm going to do basic gray. So I just have a paper towel here, just to kind of keep my desk slightly clean. And I'm going to take the brush tip end, and I'm just going to flick it against the cap. So the farther away you are, you get tiny speckles. The closer you are, you get big speckles. All right, so that one just has a little bit of gray flecks on it. And then with this one, I'm actually going to do this one with Mossy Meadow because I thought it would look neat with the petal pink. So same thing again. So I just have the brush tip end of my marker and my cap, and I'm just kind of flinging it down. All right. So we have that. And then it is going to take me a moment to do the fussy cutting. So bear with me here for a second. Where are my scissors? Right next to me. I'm going to just take this and I'm going to cut both of these out. So now would be another time too where if you had like some ribbon that you hadn't used in a while or some linen thread, the burlap ribbon, which, where is it? First of all, this will be totally cool too. You could use that copper trim. That would look really nice with either one of these. But you could use, here it is, this, if you want to add a little ribbon to it to move some of your ribbon collection, you could use your burlap ribbon and add a little piece on here. You could kind of fray it so you could pull a piece apart and put it in the background, but that'll be something else you could do. You hate fussy cutting. Well, good for you. Luckily for you, Brenda, this actually does come with a coordinating die set. I just don't happen to have it yet, so you don't have to fussy cut this. You can get out your Big Shot, crank it through, and be done in just a second, but I just didn't order mine yet. Actually, I'm ordering it as soon as I put my club order in today. I usually order with my club people, so the hostess gets better benefits. So I was like, oh, I don't have that, because it does have a really neat part to it for the background die. It has a really cool background die that goes with it. And then another thing we could do, so this also does have a leaf stamp set. We could even stamp the leaf on the background of the cardstock that we choose to use. So that would be another good idea, a way to kind of bring in another stamp from the stamp set. So again, I'm not going to get like terrifically close just because I don't want you guys to have to wait that long for this. But you could pick out a ribbon that you wanted to use with this. Would be fun. We'll also have to add a sentiment to this. Either of these would be a really nice thinking of you card, a nice birthday card, sadly, a nice sympathy card if you needed one. Concentration again. She stopped talking. Anybody working on their Valentine's cards yet? Does anybody on here do Valentine's cards? I know it's funny when you look at the cost of Valentine's cards if you go to like Target or something. Oh my goodness, they're crazy. And there's not really very much to them. I think that's the saddest part. My mother-in-law always sends my son a card for pretty much every single holiday. And I always say to her, you know, I know someone who makes cards. She could, I love fussy cutting too, Judy. She could have you to a card class if you wanted to make some cards. But she hasn't taken me up on that offer yet. Alright, almost done with the hummingbird. And then I'm going to show you how I outline both of these. And it kind of, I mean, it's not a necessary step, but I really think that it kind of makes the card look finished because it hides a lot of the white spaces if you missed anything when you were cutting, or if you did your die cut and maybe something wasn't quite as close. And I think also, speaking between the two ladies here, that there's either people that really like to fussy cut and there's people that just cannot stand it. I really don't think there's much of the in-between. And it probably also has to do with, too, if you have arthritis or issues with gripping stuff, too. Which is why dies are very convenient to have. See, if we were in video mode, I could fast forward this part. Alright, almost done. This part's pretty simple from here. So I just have to make sure, the one important part is to make sure I don't cut off his beak at the end. Get all that way. I don't want to cut off the beak. So I'm going to come from the other side. Just trim that just a little. Okay. So there we go, really. Okay, so now what we're going to do, and you could do this with any marker you want, but you want to pick something dark. You could do it with black. You could do it with basic gray. You could do it with smoky slate. You could even do it with your Stampin' Blend if that's what you have handy. But I'm going to go with basic gray. What I'm going to do is I just take the brush tip end of my marker and I kind of just trace around the edge of where I just cut. Just to kind of fill in the white edge. Doesn't have to be dark or perfect. And again, if you don't want to do this step, you don't have to. But it kind of makes it look, gives a little bit more depth to the card when you actually see it on something. Kind of also covers up if you have any little spots that you missed when you snipped. Okay. And I'll just do the same thing with this one. So just following the card. I'm not really coloring onto the card. Well, let's say I'm trying not to color onto the card. But if you use the broader end of it, you pretty much can kind of avoid coloring anything you don't want to. And this little dude down here, I cut almost a little too close. I think I nipped into this stem by accident. Okay, there we go. So we have that. All right, so now, only thing we have to do now is we have to put these onto a base. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mint base, and then, well, let's see which one looks better. It would look nice if we had both of these together, but then I just did this one for no reason. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to do a mint base and a powder pink base just to kind of stick with it. Or you could also do it on black if you wanted to. That would be really nice either way. Let's see if I already have a piece of mint trimmed, would make this convenient. But no, so we have a full sheet of mint and petal pink. Let's see. Oh, powder pink, I mean. We do have a powder pink, so that saves you a little bit of time. So I'm going to just fold this in half and run over this with my bone folder. Make sure it's nice and flat. So that's going to go with this guy. And then I usually do this at the same time, so it kind of makes it easier for me. What I usually do is I'll score the whole sheet. And then I'll just cut it. That way I have two bases. So if you score it at 5 1/2, cut it at 4 1/4, you have one base for now, and then you have one ready if you needed one for something else. And the only other thing we have to do is we do have to do a sentiment. So I have a little bit of Whisper White here. I'm going to put both of these up here. I just have to decide. I did pull out, let me fold this while I'm at it. I did pull out, again, the Well Said stamp set, because this has a lot of really nice stuff that you could put on to something. Congratulations. They have heartfelt. And the other thing is the words that go with it are very scripty, so it's very pretty. But again, you could use this completely on its own. So we could put heartfelt thoughts We'll put on one, Heartfelt Thoughts. I haven't gotten this out yet. So, oh, I do have Heartfelt, so that's good. Have one. Put Heartfelt here. And let's see if I can find Thoughts without making it take forever. Welcome. Oh, goodness. Thanks, friends, thoughts. Oh, it's down here at the bottom. Okay. And I'm going to show you this just because I think it's probably better to do it more than not enough. So this is the cling sheet. So you just have to find your word. So Thoughts is down here. Find your word. Peel off your labels. Make sure you have your word facing the correct direction. And just press it down just lightly. And then you'll peel it off. So these are with the new cling stamps. And you can see it's really, really sticky. Won't fall off. So we'll do that one. And then for the other one, oh, you could do Miss You. You could send that to any friend that you haven't seen in a while. So we have you. And let's see if I can find Miss. There we go. I was rushing the other day, and well, I don't know why I was in a hurry, but I was fooling around with something, and I mounted something incorrectly onto one of my stickers. Actually, it was my little that otter from the Valentine stamp. So now he's not mounted on there correctly, which is a little irritating because I tell everybody to take their time, but I didn't take my time. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all you guys that are hopping on late. Don't forget, it'll always go in the replay so you can watch this after the fact. So we have Miss You. And then what we can do is we can put something. There's so many nice sentiments on the inside. We can put something on the inside as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just 2 little strips. So I'm going to do Heartfelt, and then I'm going to go back and put the Thoughts on. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Thoughts because I'm going to make these very slim if I can. And I'm going to just do them in black ink. That way they stand out since there's a lot going on. So we'll just ink up Thoughts. There we go. What I do is just keep losing the internet. Oh goodness, me too. I don't know if it's the wind here or what. Like I said, I had some music playing before I started, and it's yet to come back on. So obviously something's not working correctly. So we'll go with Heartfelt here. Hopefully I line them up good enough. That's close enough. And then when I do the second one, for Miss You, I'm going to put these together. So I'm going to put these one, just kind of lining them up one on top of each other. And the good thing is too, if you're ever worried about whether or not these are going to line up correctly, you can always like pre-stamp onto a scrap of something if you have a scrap laying around to see. That looks good. So you can always pre-stamp them to see if you like them. And if not, you could just stamp them separately. So I'm going to put this one over here. Miss You. All right, so I have, let me close this up so I don't ruin my card. I have Heartfelt Thoughts, and I'm going to just trim this out with my scissor here. My scissors. And same thing with Miss You. I'm going to try to see if I can keep it into a slight square. Okay. And worst case scenario, if you didn't get it into a really good square, you can always trim up closer to it. That's usually what I do. So I'll just trim closer to the words. Or you can use like a punch or something if you wanted to. I'm going to do the same thing along this one. This one's got a little bit of a wrinkly edge. So I'm going to just trim really close to the words. So it's like a really slim sentiment. I will tell you, I've tried doing this before with my trimmer. And I always end up cutting the words off crooked. So I still have not mastered that. Okay, and then if you wanted to, you could always go back and you could take like a sponge. So say we're going to send this in powder pink. You can just kind of sponge just lightly. Just pick your sponge up just a little bit and just tap on there just to give like a little bit of color, of the same color to the sentiment. So it kind of matches. So there's that one. And instead of doing that, what I'm going to do with the mint macaron is I'm going to grab the brush tip of the marker, and I'm just going to go around the edge. Just like that, just so it kind of lines with color the edge. Especially since it's not exactly square, sometimes lining it will actually kind of, it's like an optical illusion that you can't really see that it's not exactly square. So that kind of works to our advantage too. All right, so all we have to do now is we're going to put these two cards together. I am going to add a little bit of something on both of these. So I have that, my brand new favorite braided linen trim. So I'm just going to cut a piece of this out. Doesn't have to be super big. And then I'm going to cut out a little piece of the burlap. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the burlap and I'm going to trim just on the edges here so I can get these little connector pieces. So just like that. And I'm going to just kind of spread it out at the end. Not on the whole thing, just on the end. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I know this one end is angled and the other one isn't, but since we're just fraying it, I'm not going to worry about it. And what I'm going to do is I think I might put the sentiment onto this one. And then this one I'm going to just put it behind the flower and I'm going to put the sentiment at the bottom. So I'm just kind of spreading this out. And if you change your mind, you don't like the way it went, you just smooth it back out again. It does go back together pretty easily. So spread these out. And you could do this with a little bit of liquid glue if you wanted to put it on with liquid glue. Again, you can kind of make it as falling apart or spread out as you want. You could also put it on with a little bit of fast fuse, but you just want to make sure if you do put it on with fast fuse that wherever you put your flower on, it covers so it's not tacky still. So I am going to go ahead and put both of these bases onto the cards with some fast fuse if you still have some left. If not, you could use the liquid glue, or you could use your snail. Oops. Oh goodness, hold on. Oh, I had to pick out the one that was being goofy. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this on. Okay, and then same with this one. I must have glue stuck on the top, that's why. Yeah, it's pulling differently. I have a very dirty fast fuse container here. Let's see how much glue is stuck on the top there. That's why it's not working. So, oh, I'm going to grab my other one instead, since that one clearly needs a little bit of attention. Oh my gosh, this one's doing the same thing to me. All right, so I'm going to move on now. To snail. I love fast fuse until I don't. You know what it is? I think it's because it's this watercolor paper. Sometimes adhesive doesn't stick to watercolor paper because you're used to being like the quick zippy, because even the snail did it to me just now, because of usually being like zip, zip, zip when you have regular cardstock, and this doesn't tend to stick the same to watercolor paper. So it's probably a combination of both, but yeah, sometimes it hates me too. It's not just you, no worries. All right, so there's both of the bases. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. So I'm gonna put my sentiment on. I have like just some little teeny pieces left of my dimensionals. So I'm gonna, actually this one might be long enough, let's see. Yep, so I'm gonna put this on here. So this dimensional, I'm going to put onto this piece, just like that, and just give it a press. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hummingbird on, just because I want to make sure he doesn't go anywhere, with some liquid glue. Okay, and I'm going to put a block on top of him. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of, same thing again with this, I'm going to put a little bit of the liquid glue onto the sentiment. And I'm going to kind of center him. I'm just going to give this a press just to make sure that liquid glue picks up. You can also do the same thing because it is on dimensional, so it will smush a little bit, but it'll pop back up. You can kind of put this here just to hold it in place. Or you could also do this too with a punch, if you have a punch, just because it's going to be a little bit heavier. And then the other thing we're going to do, I'm going to put this one up on dimensionals because this is going to be flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just some snail on the back of my sentiment. Oops, I'm going to put this down here at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of glue. Put this up here. Let's see. So I'm going to spread this out just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move it around just to make sure it stays in one spot. Okay, and I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. So that one's gone. So I grab a couple other dimensionals. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of the flower, which also will in turn to help to get that ribbon to stay where you want it as well. And then what I'm going to do is I usually will just take like a little paper snip here and snip off one of these for the leaf. And I'm going to put just a tiny one on the bottom here on the neck. Ooh, losing my stamps. They're getting stuck to everything. All right, so I'm going to peel all these off and stick this on. And then the only thing you have to do is just add a little sentiment to the inside. Time is at 10:30. Getting back to my old habits of taking forever. Okay, put this right there. And one other tip, just because I just noticed this. So if this little teeny bit of white bothers you, since we did this with mint macaron, you could always take, I would go a little bit lighter. You could take a little bit lighter of a marker, so this is soft seafoam, and kind of color that in so it blends into the back a little bit more. So I missed that little bit. Because honestly, unless somebody really inspects it, it kind of fades into the background. Obviously, when you get close, you'll be able to see it. But there you go. 2 cards that really, quite honestly, we made 2 cards, which usually sometimes I'm only making 1 in this amount of time. So they really are both very pretty. You did them both at the same time, so it's not like they're going to take you terrifically long to do them. And then the only other thing you could do is, I'm going to put these over here so I don't lose these 2 stamps, is just add heartfelt thoughts. Oh my gosh, there's so many nice things in here. Know that love, prayers, and caring surround you today. Sending healing thoughts your way. Lots of beautiful sentiments that you could add to the inside. So I'm not going to add anything to the inside because you never know what I might have to use this for. Or if I send it to somebody, and that way they could write something in it if they wanted to as well. So, simple cards for the most part. 2 for 1 on the watercolor paper. The watercolor wash in the background really makes the cards, I know they're a little far away, but it really makes the cards look, just gives them like a really nicely finished feel to them. Really very simple. Really, really pretty. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today. This was spur of the moment. I was going to do something completely different. And then when I was perusing the catalog last night, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So that is where I got my catalog from. I thought that was really, really nice. And thank you for the happy birthday wishes. I appreciate it. I will see if I can come on here at some point on Friday and say hey or something like that. Otherwise, if you'd like to get any of these, you can buy all this in my online store right now, which is Rachthestamper. That's StampinUp.net. I did put a hostess code at the top of this page, so if you use that, I would appreciate it. I always do send you a thank you and a little free gift, a little thank you, I should say, for purchasing things through me. I know there are a lot of choices of who you can buy your stamping supplies, so I do appreciate all of your support. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email. You can send me a message. You can reach me at rachthestamper@gmail.com. If you'd like to become part of my team, which is the Rainbow Stampers, you can send me an email as well. There's an amazing special right now. You can sign up for you get $175 for $99. Free shipping and a free paper pumpkin. Can't beat that. And you have no purchases through June 30th, which is pretty amazing. So if you have any questions about that, you can send me an email as well. Otherwise, I will see you, if I don't see you Friday, I will see you back here again next week at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I will post all of the supplies and the measurements and everything used to my blog later on today once I get some time to write it up. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you all for the happy birthday wishes. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.